Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're making the Mighty Messenger bag. I did make a couple of modifications. I did a front slip pocket. There's an extra slip pocket in there, which was on accident. And I did do 2 magnetic snaps instead of 1. I just like it. That's just me. So heads up, the video did stop before I finished top stitching the bag and doing the adjustable strap because my battery died and I didn't have it on the charger. So, but if you want to see how to do the adjustable strap, you can check out one of my other videos. I do the adjustable straps and none of the other ones. So it's there. Other than that, if you have questions, leave them in the comments. Also, like and subscribe or dislike it. That's fine. So see you making the bag. Bye. Let's get started. So we're going to start with our strap. And I am doing a double-sided strap. So fabric on one side, vinyl on the other side. When you are doing fabric, you want to fold your raw edges down. You probably don't want to have as much extra as I have here, but it's no big deal. So, and then you will fold these 2 pieces in all the way down. Then we'll go ahead and mark our centers. So I already did that off camera. There's no need to do it here. And now we're going to do double-sided tape. So just to make it easier on myself, I'm going to remove my table and my knee bar so I can get in one strap, one long piece of tape, and I'll fast forward through this part. Okay, so as you can see, I was having a little issue with my double-sided tape, but that's because I missed a spot. Well, I didn't actually lay it on the line correctly, so I wouldn't have had a place for it to stick. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take clips and clip my fabric piece to my vinyl piece. And if I can find my hair clips. I really need to put the hair clips in a separate bin. Now I will be using a stitch length of about a 4.5 to a 5. And when you have a strap like this, you want to sew with the fabric side facing up, because if you don't, sewing it like this would probably wrinkle up the fabric and everything. So this way you're able to keep it flat and keep it straight the way you need to. Now, we do straps first, usually because you have a full bobbin, so you don't have to worry about your bobbin running out while you're doing a strap. You don't want that to happen because, especially with vinyl, it makes holes. Once you sew into the vinyl, there's no point of return. So there's that. So we have the strap done. It's just the one adjustable strap with this bag. So we don't have any other straps we have to do. Next step is I did modify this. So it's going to, I'm going to have a front slip pocket on the bag. So we'll need our, the exterior piece of the pocket and then the lining piece of the flap. And we're going to put snaps on it, magnetic snaps. I'm doing 2 snaps. The pattern does call for 1, but I like having 2. So we'll mark our centers. Same with the lining piece. Make sure it's actually lining up. So from the bottom, and then from here I'll mark actually gonna have it get my longer ruler to make sure. I totally went too far above that line. Might want to do that correctly. Not exactly sure what I was just doing there, but okay. Good thing I double checked. Get it together. And then mark this line. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some interfacing right here. And then I'll come back and just remark my dots for where my magnets need to sit. So I'll do that now. So now that we have the interfacing press, I used a Decovil heavy for this. So it's a Pellon 526. You can get it from Joann's. And I'm just going to remark where I need to put my snaps. I'll mark the other one. I've got the ruler in my hand. And you can get these magnetic snaps. Well, bigger ones, slightly bigger from Joann's. Now, I'll take my washer and mark where I need to cut my slits. Get our X-Acto knife. Make our slits here. Alright, so the stabilizer actually is supposed to help give the snaps a little bit more stability, a little bit more something to hold on to. I don't know why I did that way, but the female snaps are going to go on the bottom, so on the actual slip pocket part itself. And this side is the female. These have short prongs, so sometimes they're a little bit harder to get to bend, but you eventually get it. Get the male prongs on. And then we'll get our duct tape. And put some duct tape on these. Once again, the duct tape helps a little bit of that rubbing against the opposing fabric. Little, you won't get any holes, so you won't get holes in it. I'm doing the prongs now, just so I don't forget, or the magnetic snaps now, so I don't forget. Quick thing about doing the interfacing: if you're doing a waterproof canvas like this, or water resistant, whatever you want to call it, this back piece melts. So what I do is I take my iron and just let it hover with a lot of steam over it, and that the heat from the steam is going to melt the adhesive enough for me to press it down for it to adhere to the canvas. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. So now what we're going to do is get our front panel piece. And I do have the pattern here on the sides just in case I need it for anything. It's always good to have the pattern next to you. So what we'll do is it's going to have a accent piece here. So I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to just take a little bit of double-sided tape to the edge, because where I'm folding it is where I'll be stitching. So I'll keep that double-sided tape out of the way of where I will be stitching. And I'm also going to put some right here to help it stay in place as I'm stitching it down. Now I do have a line marked where I'm folding this over. All right. Try to keep that straight edge there. And then this will help it stay in place. And I'm actually going to switch over to my Teflon foot so I have no issues as far as skip stitches or anything, because that can happen with the regular foot. You get some skip stitches when you're dealing with vinyl. You get stuck. You don't want any sticking. So the Teflon foot is to help from anything sticking to the vinyl. And of course I'm having issues getting my foot on. Why? There you go. Oh, it's gonna be one of these kind of videos. Okay, so I'm going to have stitch it. It's going to be about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge at that 4.5 to 5 stitch length, and I'll stitch to the top and all the way around just to kind of keep it based in place. So now I have my zipper. There's going to be a front zipper here. So I have it marked. And the one thing that's good about the pattern is she does suggest to keep the fleece, because this is interfaced with SF101 and fleece, and to cut some fleece from out of where the zipper is going to be. I'll use actually. Let me get my zipper piece. Okay. I have my pocket piece here. And you can always just measure from the top. You know how far down you need to place it. Or just do it like this. Either way is up to you. Okay. So now I'm going to just mark. Now we're taking one pocket piece and placing it right side to your flap. Oh, my pin did not mark. There we go. Why in the world is this one not marking this spot? Must be running out of ink or something. Okay. So it'll be right sides together. And I'm just going to sew the two long edges. And I'll sew it at a constructive length of 3.5. Back stitch. other side. And once again, you want to try to get your start and stop at about the exact spot parallel to each other. We'll snip this. And I don't know where the pattern went, but there we go. Snip. And now what we're going to do is fold it in half and snip right in the middle here. And I'm going to make sure my iron is on so I can press it. Then we'll go down the center and about maybe like a 1/2 inch away from the edge, make a dart. And do the other side. And then we will flip the wrong sides together. Piece out. There we go. And then we can press from this side. Since I'm using fabric, if you're using vinyl, you'll definitely want to press from this side. But since I'm using fabric, I'll press from the right side. Now that we have that pressed, get our zipper here. It's up to you and what direction you want your zipper to pull, but I want my zipper to close upward. Now you can take double-sided tape if you want and tape your zipper in place. I'm just going to go ahead and hold it in place because I'm a rebel. And about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, and switch to top stitch length and baste the zipper down. Okay, so I'm just using my thread zapper to get as close as I can. And then snip the threads. Get the extra thread here. And we'll go ahead and close this pocket up. So right sides together. And we'll close it completely. We won't leave it open. I guess I measured that a little uneven. It's fine. Switch it to that smaller length, stitch length. Okay, so now you can trim your seam allowance if you want to. That's up to you. I'm not going to worry about it. I am going to trim this excess fleece on the edge here, though. So now that we've got that done, we'll go ahead and take that lining piece that we put our magnetic snaps on. Right sides together. put these down, and I need to double check the seam allowance. Might need to know that. Okay. So we'll clip this down, clip, clip, clip away. Make sure things line up. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and sew this down. Remember, right sides are together. And we're going to leave the top open. We're going to still have it at that constructive length. Okay. So now we'll trim our seam allowance. If you can, try to get some little marks around the curve, just so that curved piece will sit nicely. Just try not to hit those stitches. We'll turn it out. Make sure to push those curved pieces out as best you can. Now, if you're using fabric as your lining, you can go ahead and press this. I could take some steam to it, but I'm nervous about the vinyl accent piece, so I don't want to accidentally hit that with the iron. Okay. So we will top stitch now, and that'll be at 1/8 of an inch away from the edge and at the longer stitch length of about 4.5, 5. Okay, so now we can put this piece to the side for right now, and we'll work on our gusset pieces. I usually like to keep my pattern pieces together with the paper part, so I don't get things mixed up too much, especially when you have so many pieces like this. So I'm going to take these two pieces right sides together, and so with our constructive link, and then we will flip them and have our seam allowances together and do a top stitch. So with that longer stitch length and about I don't know, maybe like 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch away from the seam line there. Now we're going to take our other gusset pieces and do the same thing. And now we'll top stitch those seam. Make sure that you split the seam so you don't have all this extra bulk on one side or the other. Plus it makes it sit nicely. Okay, so now we have our long gusset piece for our bag. We will take our foam and baste it in place. It's not straight. Well, you ain't that straight. Okay, so I'm going to just find my center piece of my foam right here and put it in that center seam, clip it down, and then we will baste it down with a basting stitch, the longer stitch length, all the way down, all the way around, or well, not all the way around, on each long mitten. Get it together. And you're going to baste it. Make sure it's 1/8 of an inch. You want that with that basting stitch within your seam allowance. You don't want it to be seen. So I usually go as close to the edge as possible. Sorry about that with camera. I didn't realize that it was pushing that out of the way. So quick tip, if you're using a domestic and you know your machine does not like layers, you can always just, and this is with any pattern, just cut the foam out of where the seam allowance is going to be, and then you can spray baste it down instead of basting it down, or you can use a zigzag stitch, which would help compress the foam down some so it's less bulk for your machine to have to deal with. Next, we are going to attach our strap connectors. I'm using O-rings this time, but you can use D-rings if you'd like. And I just remembered I forgot to put my handmade tag on. So I'm going to go ahead and, good thing it's not closed all the way, and I can just shove my hand in there and make it work. Shame on me. I have my tag somewhere. Oh, here it is. For shame. And washer. Okay, so find my center here. I should have put it on before I attached the lining piece to it, but it's fine. We'll make it work. So our strap connectors, we're going to find our centers here. Sorry for the squeaky chair. I need to get a new chair. And then we will mark our center on our straps here. There it is. And then we'll get a double-sided tape and butt the edges together. And now we're going to take our O-rings and fold them, the short ends butted up together. So I'll take double-sided tape there as well. And then I'll use double-sided tape on the outside part so to hold it in place when I go put it on the gusset piece. It's kind of a long piece. I want to make sure I don't make it too long. Because I don't want tape in my seam allowance. Yeah, but it right there. Okay, so we have our centers marked here. And let's see. Okay, making sure I have the right placing. And then we're going to sew all the way around the rectangle. We'll have it at a baste stitch and at about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And I actually like starting from the bottom of the connector. Make sure to backstitch. I don't know if I mentioned in one of the other videos, but with my Teflon foot, it doesn't like to be off level. So instead of me turning it this way, which you normally would do, I'm trying to avoid a skip stitch. So I'm turning it backwards and I'm going to back stitch in order to keep it level. And it usually works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add rivets to it. You don't have to. Rivets are extra security and decoration, so, but I think it looks nice. So I will find, and I'm not going to measure it or anything, I'm going to just eyeball it. And this isn't all. I got it from Walmart, but I believe you can get it from Joann's as well. And it just pokes the hole for you. And then I also have a rivet press that I got from Can Snaps. Mine is pink. I would actually like yellow, but I go with what I have. They only had 2 colors to choose from, so pink it is. Now, if you're unable to get a rivet press, I'll show you real quick. You can get, just the manual one, and this is what it looks like. It comes in a set. It's a little flat piece. Like this. So this is a bar that you place, poke the hole. So you'd hammer it down in there and it pokes a hole. And then you would put these 2 together. And then you take a hammer to the top of the bar to set your rivet. That's what I used to do. That's why I have that. I believe we put this to the side for right now. And we move on to our lining pieces. But one thing I do want to do before I forget is go ahead and do this modified slip pocket. So right sides together, and we'll just sew the top. Smaller stitch length. You can clip it if you want. And then fold the wrong sides together. If you're using fabric, you definitely can go ahead and press it. I will hand press this real quick. I guess not real quick. I'm not cooperating. There we go. And then we'll top stitch at that longer basting stitch length. Make sure to back stitch. And then, I'm going to go ahead and baste this pocket in place to my exterior body piece. I will put this in place. And I'm just going to base stitch all the way around with that base stitch length. Now we'll move on to our interior pieces. Hold please. Sorry about that. Kids. Got kids. So, interior. We're going to go ahead and get one of our body pieces and our zipper pocket. And let's see, I forgot to see how far down. Okay. So we'll find our centers. And find our center for one of our zipper pocket panels. We'll line it up. And my long ruler here. My ruler. Let me mark my stuff. And I'll mark one line. So we'll mark one line at the top. Then our second line. Like the other pocket, we're only going to sew those 2 long lines. Turn my iron back on. Shorter stitch length here for constructing. And like the other one, right sides together when you're doing this. Some patterns, they're going to tell you different ways to make a pocket, zipper pocket, but I find this was the first way I learned how to do a zipper pocket, and I find it's probably the easiest way to do it. I mean, you might like something different, but I just like doing them this way. So like before, we're going to snip right in the center, and then we'll go down to about a 1/2 inch and then make our little dart. Do that to both sides. And ensure not to snip the stitches, and we'll pull it through wrong sides together. Once again, if you're just using fabric, you can just press from this side, but since I'm using this water resistant canvas that I don't think I mentioned it, you can get this one that I'm using from Walmart. There's also you can get some online too that's waterproof, completely waterproof. This is just water resistant. So I'll press from the right side and then come back and we can install the zipper. Okay, so now you can take our zipper, and like I've said before, you can take double-sided tape if you'd like to get your zipper in place. I am not going to do that. It's not. I refuse. At this point, I don't think I'll be top stitching any vinyl again, so I can switch to my regular foot. But if I do end up getting to vinyl again, I can easily, well, not easily, I struggled before, but switch the feet back out. I like the regular foot because it can handle the layer changes and different things like that we're about to get to once we're done with our zipper pocket. So that top stitch length of about 4.5, 5, and get this zipper in place. Use my thread zapper here. And now we're going to should be fine. There we go. Now we're going to assemble our zipper pocket. What we're not going to do is close the bottom of this zipper. Back to the smaller stitch length. You can clip it. I'm just placing it together. So it does ask for a slip pocket, and I made the slip pocket as if I was going to use fabric, because I cut it the length the pattern says, but because this is not fabric, I'm actually just going to have 2 slip pockets in this bag. I'm going to cut this in half, then I'm going to fold the top edge down. I probably want to fold it about 1/2 inch down, actually. Go ahead and top stitch this. Go ahead and do the other one now. Top stitch. I'll go ahead and baste these in place. Just gonna line the bottom up with the bottom of our piece here. And baste. We'll let the machine get away from you. Ink. I think an easier way to do this slip pocket would probably be to just fold that exterior piece in half, and then you can make your slip pocket so then the curve is matched. So I'm going to trim these curved pieces just so I can see. I'm going to fold this in half and then make my divided slip pocket. This, make sure you get your zipper pocket out of the way. Make sure you do not sew that zipper pocket. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this as one big slip pocket. Never know what people might want to put in their slip pocket. So, okay, so now that the interior is done, we'll go ahead and get our gusset pieces attached to our main pieces. So I'm just gonna find my center again. Make sure this lines up well. We'll line the center up, right sides together with our gusset. So the center with the center seam. And what we'll do is clip away. Okay, so now we'll just go ahead and sew this down. Make sure you switch it to your smaller stitch length. We're almost done. Okay, so we'll do the other side now. Same thing. We're going to take our piece, fold it, find our center, and match it up with that center seam and clip away. One thing about the curves, go slow on the curves. Just keeping an eye that your vinyl doesn't slip or anything like that. The curves can be slightly complicated. You could also, if you wanted to, staple it. That could be another option. Just make sure you staple it out of within that seam allowance, just so when it's time to trim your seams, you can just trim the staples away instead of having to pull them out. Plus, you have vinyl here, so you don't want any holes from where you stapled to show. Let's go ahead and sew this down. Now what we're going to do is trim our seam allowance in these curved spots if you can, because I know I have difficulty with it. If you can snip, try to get snips there. I probably need sharper scissors. So that might be why I have difficulty getting those snips on the curves. But it's all good in the hood. I'll put this to the side, and I believe, let me make sure, but I believe we turn this out. Let's see. Yep. Flip it the right side out. So now we will do our lining piece the same way. Oh, first we had to attach our gusset pieces. I almost forgot about that. So let's get flip side. We'll do this the same way we did our exterior gusset piece. These are right sides together. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and split that seam allowance here and do our top stitch. So our longer stitch length. Okay, so we'll find our center of our gusset piece here. Don't really have to snip it, you can just press it. And then take one of our interior pieces, right sides together. And clip. I'm going to do the same thing we did with our interior as we did with our exterior. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed through this. If you have questions, just put it in the comment section below. I'm going to go ahead and trim our seam allowance. And as I don't know if you noticed, but in the very beginning, I had to readjust just because my centers the gusset wasn't lining up correctly, so I had to figure something out, readjust my centers, I guess. So that's what I did. I just unclipped it, readjusted the centers, and kept it moving. Try not to stab yourself with scissors. Okay, so next I believe we are attaching, oh, my phone timed out. We are attaching the flap, I want to say. Okay, that's exactly what we're doing. So, gotta have the right sides together here. And we'll re-find our center on this top flap. We'll clip it down and then sew it down. That does not line up at all. Let's try that again. I have no idea what I was just doing. Fix it. That's all you do. Adjust, 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 adjust. Okay, so let's see what. Okay. Like this. Okay, and now I believe so we're going to flip this wrong side out. A lot of flipping, a lot of flipping. This is the second time I made this bag, so that's why I'm still kind of... We'll take the right side. You have to flip the interior, the right sides out. I believe, right? So place the... Yeah. Now, you can decide whatever is going to be your front and your back side of your bag. I am going to have the zipper pocket opposite of the exterior slip pocket. The first thing you're going to do is line up all your corner seams first. We'll go ahead and clip. And you just clip the rest of it. So now, we'll go ahead and stitch it down. And we're using that smaller stitch length. And before I continue to do what I'm doing, I need to open this zipper. Well, I should be able to get to it after I'm done stitching that. All right. Okay, so good thing about this, the bottom, there's no closing of the bottom, so I can still get to the zipper. But just remember to keep open your zippers. If I can find the zipper. There we go. Remember to open your zipper so you're not doing this. Why can't I get it to... There we go. Finally. Alright. So we're going to trim our seam allowance, but we're not going to trim where the flap is. Alright, so we should be birthing the bag. Alright, let me check the camera angle and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we birth the bag. The flap is like right there, so pull the flap out first. And then we'll go through and get that exterior bottom. Ooh, buddy. As you're pulling that exterior, try to get that lining push. Go slow you don't tear it. You'll most likely tear the lining if you do, but there we go. Push that exterior out. Okay. Put that lining in. And push this pocket in. Okay. Push the lining all the way in. Make sure it's sitting right. Make sure where that came from. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is from the bag. You know, so much manipulating of the bag. But we need to top stitch the top, and I find it this is the easier way to top stitch it. Alright, so we'll clip, making sure that you have that interior piece or lining piece rolled away from your exterior slightly. The flat piece is kind of, you know, I don't know, here nor there because it's the flap, but you aren't able to clip it, so just kind of work with it. Excuse me. Now, a fun trick that I learned, this is a glass breaking tool, and right here the seam gets really thick, so I'm just gonna give it a squeeze, kind of press it down a little bit, give it a little ease for the machine to get over this hump. It's not much, but it's something to help, because even my machine doesn't like this very much. And you can get this at Michael's, Hobby Lobby. It's in the glass section. Okay. So I'll turn the camera a little bit. Okay, so we'll top stitch. I'm going to top stitch from the exterior side, or the exterior side. I like to start at a seam. I'm going to start at this seam here, and you know what? I'm going to switch to my Teflon foot. I know it doesn't really like the level changes, but I don't want to have issues on my vinyl. So I'll go ahead and switch that out real quick. Oops. I didn't have problems this time. Make sure you tighten it up. Well, I did not realize that my phone died. I thought that vibration was from my other phone. So, but basically all that was left was top stitching it, turning it back out, and making the adjustable strap. It's kind of hard to explain the adjustable strap without me actually doing it. So you can always check out one of the other videos that I posted. They both have adjustable straps and showing you how to do that. So sorry about that. I will definitely make sure I put it on the charger next time. And yeah, so bag is done though. And as usual, you know, if you have any comments, questions, requests, someone did ask for a kente cloth or mud cloth bag. I will work on that. This was a custom order, so I figured I'd go ahead and video this while I'm doing it. But this is the Mighty Messenger bag. It does have the modifications. As usual, like, subscribe. You can dislike it if you like. I don't know why. Maybe because my battery died, but that could be a reason to dislike it. But you know, it is what it is. So thanks for joining me for majority, like 98% of the bag. Thanks. See you next time.